As mentioned earlier, the cover story of the latest magazine edition of Talk Business and Politics focuses on the rise of legendary politicians Dale Bumpers, David Pryor, and Bill Clinton in the 1970s. The author of this story, which has been getting great response, is John Brummett, and he joins me now. Welcome back, my friend.
Always a pleasure.
Is it getting better response than you even thought it would get?
Yeah. I mean, you were the one who said this one's good. You even put in your nice editor's note it was the best I'd written for your magazine, and I thought, well, now, what was wrong with all the others? But so I'm not the best judge, but yeah, I mean, it's I was anticipating it would be well received because you, as the editor, said it would be. But
so I know a thing or two, John.
you apparently do better than I do.
Yeah.
It wrote itself so easily, I'm just a little overwhelmed by the response to it.
Well, you know, you were there. So the 1970s, happy hours and high times. We initially kind of pursued this story in the wake of the death of Dale Bumpers, and as we talked about it, we decided we wanted to expand on more than that because this was kind of bigger than just Dale Bumpers' legacy. But now that a few months have passed, do you have a different perspective? Has anything kind of settled in a little bit more since the immediate kind of accolades that came about in Bumpers' legacy?
Not different, just, dare I say, a little more profound. And actually, sometimes, and I think writers will tell you this, you just write your narrative and really the themes and or the essence of it, you don't really know, and then it occurs to you. Mm-hmm. And toward the end of that article, I think I got it. And I think what defines the 70s is that Arkansas as a state was a disgraced place in 1957, internationally so, considered very backwater, considered most unfavorably. In 1992, Arkansas was able to produce a progressive, moderate, Rhodes Scholar, educated governor who became president of the United States. How did Arkansas get from 57 to 92? The 70s. Mm-hmm. The 70s started about 13 years after 57, ended about 13 years before Clinton's election, and in that decade, and I hope that article makes the point, transformed the state's politics from something that had not been very favorable, sort of a rural, demagogic, segregationist politics, to a youthful, modernizing, racially progressive leadership of young, charismatic leaders. And that decade, I would submit, is what transformed Arkansas from what it was in 57 to, regardless of what you think about Clinton, I mean, in terms of what the state produced, it's an accomplishment. And I think the 70s is when it happened. And so that's the context I've managed to give it.
So Bumpers, Pryor, Clinton, but there was Ray Thornton, there was Jim Guy Tucker, there was Steve Clark.
What a cast of characters.
I mean, there were a lot of young and up and comers, and they all had a pretty similar political philosophy if you kind of strip away some of the things on the edges. But like you said, they were all progressive. They were all maybe a little bit to the left of center and everything. They all thought differently. What kind of made some of them more successful than the other ones, I guess, is a way to ask that question. Why didn't, because they ran against each other some, and then in some instances they didn't.
Just sheer political talent. And three of them had it, and the others had some increment of it. But the big three, Bumpers, with his charisma and his ability to run the positive campaign and connect with people, Pryor, who has the greatest common touch we've seen, and then Clinton, who they say is the best politician of his time. Those three, they survived it, they flourished simply because of not necessarily they're better people, but they simply had the political genius and the political talent. Thornton, Tucker, who ran against Pryor and ran close, 78 Senate race, like 34, 33, 32. But neither of them had the political touch that Pryor has, and Clark, who ran into his own difficulties and was from which he's now fully rehabilitated, I'm glad to see. But he didn't have it either, and I think they would admit that. Those three guys, and that's 70 had a lot of great character. Richard Arnold and Brad Jessen running, Archie Schaefer. What a staff! What a staff Bumpers had, and gathering down at TGI Fridays under the new mixed drink law. It was just a great time. But those, I think everybody understands, the big three. You just don't get that concentration of political talent in a transformative time very often in your history, or in Arkansas's case, ever.
It was this cult of personality, really, too.
Well, that's what Arkansas politics was.
Different even though they were all Democrats, even though they all had similar political leanings, there were Bumpers people and Pryor people and Clinton people,
remember,
and they did not overlap that much.
I remember Betsy Wright, who came up from Texas to be Bill Clinton's campaign manager and chief of staff. She said, you need to quit calling Arkansas a one-party state. It's a no-party state. Essentially, she said, it's a cult of personality, and the political organizations are ours, meaning Clinton's, Bumper's organization, Pryor's organization. One reason the Arkansas Democrats are having so much trouble adapting to a new Republican rise and a supposed two-party system is they never had to function really in a normal party way because they were dominated by these personalities. Do you know that in 1976, Jimmy Carter was elected president, Southern moderate Democrat, got 66% in Georgia, 65% in Arkansas, the second highest. Yeah, Arkansas was what Carter represented coming out of Georgia in '76, a new age Southern politician, modernizing, moderate on race, a good guy, gonna lead us out of the Watergate debacle. That was sort of a larger manifestation of the very thing that was going on in Arkansas. So that was a natural connection.